Have you ever sat in silence, looked around your home and thought to yourself, is this really how my life is supposed to feel at this age? You worked hard, you sacrificed. You imagined these years would bring peace, purpose, and maybe a little freedom. But instead you feel your strength slowly fading. Your days blend together. You see the phone sitting there but no one calls. And deep down you wonder, where did everyone go? Here's the truth. Most people don't wake up one day and find themselves in decline. It happens gradually, quietly, and by the time you notice, it feels too late to turn things around. But it's not too late. Not yet. Today we'll uncover the two most dangerous mistakes seniors make after 60 that quietly ruin their health, destroy their happiness, and shrink their world until life becomes smaller, lonelier, and harder to. Most of us don't even realize we're making these mistakes because they show up in small decisions. A skipped walk here, a silent dinner there. But over time they chip away at our spirit and our independence. If you're over 60 or you love someone who is, what you're about to hear could change the way you live the next 10, 20, or even 30 years. These lessons come not just from science, but from real lives, real regrets, and real wisdom gathered from the elderly. So listen closely, because each word could help you or someone you love live better, longer, and more meaningfully. If this message resonates with you already, take a second to like this video and consider subscribing for more elderly reflections, life lessons from the elderly, and senior health inspiration. It only takes a click, but it means the world to us. And it helps more people over 60 discover the content they desperately need, but rarely get. Let's begin. Mistake number 1 is one of the most common, and sadly the most dangerous. Neglecting physical health. It usually doesn't begin with a heart attack or a fall. No, it begins with something much smaller and more innocent. You tell yourself, I'm just tired today. I'll skip the walk. But here's the truth most seniors don't hear enough. The decline you feel is not always aging. It's often inactivity disguised as aging. According to geriatric experts and doctors like Dr. Pamela Peak, our bodies lose muscle strength and balance, not because we're getting old, but because we've stopped moving. And the less we move, the harder movement becomes. It's a slow trap. Let me tell you about Walter, a 75-year-old who once walked every morning. But when winter came, he stopped. A few missed days turned into a few months. He began to feel his knees stiffen, standing up became slower. And when he finally tried to restore his morning routine, he was shocked to discover he could barely make it around the block. What took a year to build, that's how it works. Muscle disappears faster in our 70s. Our balance weakens, our energy fades. But these are not just facts of aging, they are symptoms of disuse. And then there's diet. Another mistake that creeps in quietly. Many older adults eat less, which sounds okay, until you realize the elderly actually need more nutrients, not fewer. Protein to preserve muscle, calcium to keep bones strong, fiber to ease digestion, and yet so many seniors rely on crackers, toast, or sugary snacks instead of real fresh food. The result? A body that feels weak, a mind that feels foggy, and an immune system that gives up when it's needed most. You can't fight illness if you're undernourished. You can't stay active if you don't fuel your body right. And then there's the final layer of this mistake, skipping medical checkups. So many seniors avoid the doctor unless something feels urgent, but by then it's often too late. High blood pressure, cholesterol, early signs of osteoporosis. These don't announce themselves with pain, they creep in silently. That's why a simple checkup can be the difference between months of suffering and decades of healthy life. And the good news? It's never too late to start. Adding just 15 minutes of movement per day can rebuild muscle and confidence. Swapping processed foods for a handful of blueberries or a boiled egg can do more than you imagine. Scheduling that checkup, even if everything seems fine, might catch something you can fix before it grows worse. Taking care of your health after 60 isn't about vanity. It's about independence, about being able to cook for yourself, walk without fear, live without help. Now let's talk about mistake number 2, one that's even more silent and in many ways even more destructive. Withdrawing from social connection. Maybe it begins when you stop going to your weekly gathering, or when you decide not to call your sister because she's probably busy. Or maybe you've convinced yourself your children are better off without being bothered, and slowly your world gets quiet. Your phone doesn't ring, your calendar stays empty, and your voice, your beautiful, unique voice, stays unheard. Here's the thing, loneliness after 60 isn't just sad, it's dangerous. According to a major study published in Perspectives on Psychological Science, chronic isolation, it raises blood pressure, increases your risk of dementia, and can even shrink your brain over time. Take the story of Helen, a 77-year-old who used to host her neighbors for tea every Sunday. But when her husband passed and her arthritis worsened, she stopped inviting people over. They have their own lives, she said. The weeks turned into months. Her world became quiet, but then one day her granddaughter showed her how to use video calls. She reconnected with an old friend. She joined a gentle yoga group at her community center, and something incredible happened. Her energy came back, her memory sharpened. She smiled again. Social connection didn't just lift her mood, it lifted her health. Here's the truth. We are wired for connection. The elderly who stay socially engaged not only live longer, but less pain, sharper minds, and more joy. That doesn't mean you need a dozen close friends. It just means you need meaningful moments, a weekly call, a neighborly chat, a laugh with someone who sees you. So what can you do? Start simple. Call one person today. Write a letter. Join a group. No pressure, just curiosity. And if technology feels overwhelming, ask for help. You deserve connection. You deserve to be seen, heard, and remembered. These two mistakes, neglecting your health and isolating from others, are the cracks that break open a life over time. But you can stop them. You can make new choices today that protect your future. Because aging isn't just about surviving, it's about living well, with strength, with clarity, and most importantly, with meaning. If you found this helpful so far, drop a comment below if the conversation about loneliness resonated with you. We'd love to hear from you. Your experiences matter, and your journey still holds so much strength. In the next section, we'll uncover 2 more common missteps many seniors make without even noticing: resisting change and mismanaging finances. Have you ever looked at your phone and thought, I don't need all this modern nonsense? Or heard someone younger say, just order it online, and you immediately felt a wall go up inside you? You're not alone. And when we resist change, we don't just fall behind. We risk losing the very independence we've spent a lifetime building. Today, we continue our journey through the 5 biggest mistakes that slowly and silently ruin lives in old age. We've already explored the damage caused by neglecting physical health and withdrawing from others. Now we turn to 2 more quiet culprits. 2 patterns that start out as simple preferences but eventually become cages. If you're someone who values dignity, freedom, and the ability to make your own decisions, this section is for you. Let's begin with mistake number 3, resisting change. It's easy to understand why we fall into this trap. After all, you've lived through decades of noise, new rules, new technologies, shifting expectations. At some point, it just feels easier to say, I'll stick with what I know. But the world isn't going to stop spinning just because we're tired of learning. And when you stop adapting, you don't freeze the world, you freeze yourself in time, while everything else moves on without you. Take Albert, 79. He refused to get a smartphone. My old flip phone works just fine, he'd say proudly. But over time, he realized his grandchildren were sending pictures and stories in a group chat he couldn't access. His bank required online logins. Local stores moved to app-only deals. He wasn't stubborn, he was locked out. It wasn't about the phone anymore. It was about staying connected to the people and service that mattered to him. Eventually, he gave it a try. His granddaughter sat with him patiently, and within weeks, he was sending voice messages, ordering groceries, and even watching videos on elderly wisdom and senior health. What he once feared became a doorway to a fuller life. Resisting change shows up in other ways too. Refusing to adjust your diet, even when your body is clearly asking for something different. Ignoring safer home setups, like grab bars or better lighting, because it makes you feel old. Or dismissing new medical advice because that's not what the doctor told me back in the 80s. But here's the problem. The world has changed, the science has changed, and pretending it hasn't doesn't protect us. It puts us at risk. Even our relationships suffer when we refuse to adapt. Younger generations communicate differently. They express love in texts, memes, video chats, not always in long phone calls or Sunday visits. When we expect them to meet us where we are, but we're unwilling to meet them halfway, we lose out. Adapting isn't about giving up who you are. It's about learning enough to keep moving forward, to remain independent, informed, and engaged in a world that's moving fast. So if change feels uncomfortable, let it. Because comfort is not the goal, connection and control are. You're never too old to learn something new. And every time you do, you prove to yourself and to others that age doesn't define you. Now let's move to mistake number 4, mismanaging finances in retirement. This one is often hidden in plain sight. Most people assume that once they stop working and start drawing on savings, the hardest financial part is over. But the truth is, money mistakes after 60 can be just as dangerous, sometimes more so, than during your working years. Let me tell you about Richard, 73. He retired comfortably with enough saved to enjoy life. A few trips, some gifts for the grandkids, dinners out. For a while, everything seemed fine, but then his wife had a health scare. Medical bills added up, inflation crept in, and by the time he looked at his account again, the balance was disappearing faster than he expected. He didn't go broke overnight, but he lost his peace of mind. The money he thought would last another 20 years now had to stretch farther than he ever imagined. This story is more common than people think. The danger isn't just running out of money, it's running out of options. Many seniors downplay their future expenses. They underestimate the cost of long-term care, rising medical bills, home repairs, or even helping family. They continue spending as if nothing has changed, until something does, and then it's often too late to recover. But even more heartbreaking is how vulnerable many seniors become to financial scams. Fraudsters target older adults because they know we grew up in a time when trust was more common. Fake emails, phone calls pretending to be grandchildren in trouble, investment schemes just for seniors. They all sound believable at first, but they're traps designed to steal what you've spent a lifetime building. So what can you do? First, create a realistic budget. Track where your money is going, not once a year, but monthly. Second, prepare for emergencies. Have a plan for medical costs. Know what Medicare covers and what it doesn't. Third, talk to someone you trust. Not just any advisor, but someone who can walk you through your options without pressure or judgment. And finally, guard your information. Be cautious with phone calls. Never give out your social security number, banking info, or passwords unless you initiated the conversation. And if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Financial independence is about more than having money. It's about having control over your decisions, freedom from fear, and the confidence to say, I'm prepared. These two mistakes, resisting change and ignoring your finances, can shrink your world faster than you realize. But the good news? You can make new decisions starting now. You can take back control. You can learn. You can plan. You can adapt. Because even at 70, 80, or 90, you still have the power to protect your freedom and your future. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Comment below with 3 if you relate to adapting to change or the financial side hit home. Your voice matters. And when we share these stories, we remind each other we're not alone. In the final section, we'll finish this journey with the last and most overlooked mistake of all. Giving up on growth and losing your sense of purpose. We'll show how even small shifts in mindset can awaken joy, sharpen your mind, and bring meaning back to every single day, no matter your age. Until then, stay strong, stay curious, and above all, stay open. Because the world may change. You've probably heard someone say, I'm too old for that. Maybe you've even said it yourself. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? A casual excuse to avoid something new. A reason to rest instead of stretch. But beneath that simple phrase lies one of the most dangerous and heartbreaking mistakes people make in their later years. Not because it causes sudden harm, but because it steals your future quietly. Not with noise, but with silence. That mistake is this: giving up on growth and letting your sense of purpose fade away. It's more common than you think. In fact, it might be happening to you or someone you love right now. This is the final and most overlooked mistake in our series. We've talked about how neglecting your body, withdrawing from others, resisting change, and mismanaging money can slowly destroy your health and happiness. But this one, it reaches deeper. Because when you lose your reason to wake up in the morning, when your mind stops reaching forward, your body follows. And slowly, day by day, you stop living before your life is actually over. Let's break it down. For decades, many of us were driven by purpose. Raising a family, building a career, caring for a partner. We were needed, busy, and moving forward. But then, retirement came. The kids grew up, the house got quiet, and without warning, something inside damaged. No more meetings, no more school runs, no more to-do lists. For some, it felt like freedom, but for others, especially after the initial excitement faded, it felt like emptiness. Quiet question in the back of your mind: what am I supposed to do now? Take Linda, 71. She had been a school teacher for over 40 years. Every day was full of students, challenges, laughter, meaning. But after retiring, the house felt different. She started sleeping more, watching more TV. She went from sharp and energetic to slow and forgetful. She didn't know it at the time, but she was slipping. Her mind had nothing to stretch toward. Her days had no structure, and her heart had nothing to look forward to. But here's the good news. Your brain is still capable of learning. Your spirit is still capable of passion. And your life is still capable of growth, even at 70, 80, or beyond. In fact, according to research from Harvard Medical School, seniors who continue to learn new things, whether it's a new language, a musical instrument, or simply reading challenging books, are significantly less likely to experience cognitive decline. It's not about IQ, it's about activity, mental activity, purposeful activity. Think about this, your brain is like a garden. When it's watered with curiosity, joy, and effort, it grows. But when it's left alone, it starts to wither. This is why so many older adults who remain mentally active feel younger than their age. They stay interested in life. They stay connected to others. They stay proud of what they're creating, even if it's small. So what can you do? Start simple. Pick one thing to learn, not for success, not for perfection, just for the joy of it. Maybe you've always wanted to paint. Maybe you used to write poetry. Maybe gardening used to calm your soul. Or maybe it's something completely new. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it wakes you up again. As long as it makes you feel like you matter again. Let's go back to Linda. At a particularly tough winter, her daughter signed her up for an art class at a community center. Linda didn't want to go. She said she wasn't creative, but she went anyway. Week by week, something shifted. Her hands moved again. Her mind lit up with ideas. She started smiling more, sleeping less. She met people. She even started teaching a beginner class for other seniors. She found purpose again, not from her old life, but in the new one she gave herself permission to build. The purpose isn't about saving the world. It's about feeling useful, curious, and engaged. Maybe it's volunteering once a week. Maybe it's mentoring a younger person. Maybe it's writing your life story so your grandchildren can learn from your elderly wisdom. Maybe it's simply setting a goal, like reading 10 books this year, or learning to cook a new dish each week. It doesn't need to be impressive, it just needs to feel real. Because when you have purpose, you have energy. You have direction, you have life. Now let's talk about another hidden danger. The belief that your mind is done growing. So many people over 60. But the truth is, it's not. Your brain still has neuroplasticity. That's the ability to form new connections, even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. But only if you use it, only if you challenge it. And here's something powerful. Growth doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means thinking differently, letting go of old regrets, forgiving yourself for mistakes. Forgiving yourself for that too is growth, emotional growth, and it matters just as much as learning a new skill. Take Eleanor, 76. She was always the caregiver in her family, always giving, never asking. But when her husband passed away, she was forced to face herself, alone. She began journaling, at first just her thoughts, then her memories, then her hopes. Over time, her journal became a mirror. She wrote out her grief, her regrets, her forgotten dreams, and in that quiet process, she found healing. Growth doesn't always come in noise. Sometimes it comes in silence, in writing, in reflection. It's never too late to understand yourself better and live more honestly in the years ahead. So ask yourself this, what are you still curious about? What haven't you done yet? What idea have you been sitting on, waiting for the right time? The truth is, this is the right time. You don't need to be younger, you just need to start. Let me be clear, aging is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a chapter no one else gets to write but you. But it only becomes beautiful if you stay awake to it, alive to it, open to it. When you stop growing, you stop living. But when you keep reaching, even in small ways, you unlock the most powerful gift of all, joy. Not the loud kind, the quiet, proud kind. The kind that says, I'm still here, I still matter, and I still have more to give. If this message touches you, leave a comment below with 5 to let us know you're still growing. Or better yet, share one thing you want to start doing this week. One goal, one idea, one habit. You never know who you'll inspire. And if you've followed us through all 3 sections of this journey, thank you. We created this series not just to warn, but to uplift. Because we believe every senior deserves to live with health, wisdom, dignity, and peace. If you believe that too, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support fuels this mission. This quiet revolution of elderly strength. Final thoughts. Aging isn't what takes your life away, it's what gives you the chance to live differently, more intentionally, more meaningfully. Yes, the body slows, but the spirit, it can soar. If you feed it, if you move, connect, adapt, plan, grow. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need to do something. Because your story isn't over. In fact, it might just be beginning.